This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.
What's up, everybody? It's episode 116 of Beers in the Lot. Before we get going, I just want to remind you about our t-shirts and hoodies that we have at beersinthelot.com/shop. Go check them out, and if we're missing a color scheme that you'd like to see, let us know. We'll add it. So on today's episode, our guest was Josh Schneider of USA Blind Hockey. Josh enlightened me and the guys about how blind hockey works and told us about the similarities and differences, or should I say how few differences there are. And we talked a bit about how he and the Hawkeye Guy Foundation are promoting the idea that hockey is for everyone. So here we go. Let's crack the beers. That doesn't look like a beer, John. What is that?
Because it's not. This is a smart water. So it's vapor distilled water with electrolytes for taste. And it's purely balanced pH.
That pH balance is important, you know.
Yeah,
how's the mouth feel?
Really good. Actually, like in terms
is it good
of
in the nose.
In terms of
The good
bottled
bouquet.
water, like Dasani has always tasted weird. Everything else I don't mind. But yeah, Dasani is like a Coke product, so I don't even trust it. I don't even think it's real water. But yeah, smart water. So yeah. But whatever. Still in sober October. We're powering through and murdering thirst, so that's all I can say. Riggs, what are you doing, my fellow sober October brethren?
Yeah, this is the last episode of Sober October.
Yeah.
So this is my last athletic brewing brew. It is yet another upside down. Sorry. 3 weeks in a row. Sorry.
Jeez, Riggs.
But
That's worse than me.
We'll get back to
Yeah.
we'll get back to some new and interesting brews in November. And Daniel always has new and interesting brews. So
Always.
what does Daniel have?
Yeah, so I've been trying to hold up, the podcast this month with new brews. So tonight I have Night Shift Brewing. It's fluffy. It's a hazy IPA.
Nice.
Night shift.
Yep, Night Shift
It's
is good
great.
stuff.
Great stuff.
And Aaron, who stepped his game up this month, what do you got?
We had to put this podcast on our backs this month while the guys do Sober October. So tonight I'm going with a Cold Trail Blonde Ale from Mountain State Brewing Company, brewed here in the great state of West Virginia. It's pretty good.
Good job, Aaron.
Not bad. Yeah. And tonight we have a guest with us. We have Josh Schneider of the Dented Puck podcast and Team USA blind hockey player.
Absolutely. Yes, I am. And actually, formerly Maryland roller hockey player. So
Yes.
I'm a
Right on.
So
Oh, excellent.
that's my connection. Actually, my connection to Frederick hockey, because that was our practice facility. We went out there from College Park to Frederick like twice a week.
Oh,
That's
wow.
commitment.
Oh,
my.
That's
man.
commitment, right? Like,
Absolutely.
I do have to chime in on the beers though, and you guys can appreciate this. So the end of my USA Canada event this weekend actually ended me at Newark Airport, then right to the Prudential Center to watch the Devils score the first goal, and then watch Mackenzie Blackwood literally just pass it up the board and absolutely start about 5 beers deep of they were promoting the stick toss brew from Tom's
Okay.
River Brewing
Oh,
Company.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to take the first, and I got the first before the game, and then like very quickly into the second period, I got 2 and 3, and then it kept going because that's kind of how that game kept going. And of course, my wife's company have been season ticket holders for a while. So when they get tickets, they're 6 rows behind the goal. So those of you who didn't hear, I'm actually legally blind. And I play for the U.S. national blind hockey team. My vision, unlike a lot of blind people, I have really good vision for everyday life. Like I have 20/40, but I have like incredible tunnel vision. So I'm able to actually see the game, just not really far away. So these were good enough seats to watch, I think, every goal in front of me. I think I actually had every goal in front of me,
Nice.
which in a 9-goal game is usually pretty good, but that was not pretty good. I actually literally sat there on the power play going, Ovi's just sitting there. Ovi's just sitting there. Yeah, well, that's what happens when Ovi's just sitting there.
He's been doing it for 18 years.
That's his office.
It's funny because last episode the Devils came up because I was watching the game while we were recording, and I had looked up some information on the Devils because I was interested and everything, and we all said, man, like, they're actually a good team. They're playing well. They just need some goaltending. They need some stops. And maybe if Blackwood doesn't send the puck up the middle to Connor Sheary on a shorthanded chance, it might help his case. But yeah, I think they'll be all right, man.
Yeah, but they're also in that era. They're in that time of the rebuild that it's like you're gonna get an absolute dud, and then they turned around and whopped the Red Wings.
Right,
Right.
Like they did what you guys did to us and turn on mollywop the Red Wings, which my buddy's a Red Wings fan, and I have not said anything yet, and I think it's gonna be funny. They're just not gonna say it. But yeah, like that's what happens. You know those years when you're just like,
Yes.
all right, like it's gonna come together at some point, but it's just like it's entertaining to watch. Which it hasn't been for years. So like we got to that point. It's just really getting over that hump.
Yeah.
Let's talk about blind hockey. What's different about blind hockey from the game that most people are used to seeing?
So honestly, at our highest levels, the only thing you would notice is that the puck is bigger and makes sound. Yeah. And we are, and us on the back end are a little bit insane. So our puck is obviously, you understand the need for it to be louder, to be
Right.
louder and to be larger. For those of us who have that much vision loss that they can't see it at all, or that have enough vision loss that they can kind of see something that's a little bit bigger than a little black rubber biscuit flying around. So the best they've come about, blind hockey has really kind of been about in Canada since the 70s, but it's kind of been like localized to, Toronto, Montreal area, a little bit out on the West Coast. Then two brothers came along probably about 20 years ago and really started working on it and really kind of blew it up to now it's actually we're working on being a Paralympic sport. So our version of the puck right now, which is already in millions of engineers' hands who want to make it better, is a 5-inch wide piece of sheet metal with 8 ball bearings inside. So it is not fun to block. But then there's a little other caveat to it. So I mean, but honestly, with the ball bearings inside, and the size of it, it really takes a lot of us, and it makes us into hockey players as opposed to a lot of blind people just trying to find a puck.
Right.
A side note that actually it's kind of funny along those lines. I know you guys are beer leaguers, so you totally appreciate this. We work with a charity called Dog Nation. They're out in Colorado, and they have a new chapter in St. Louis. And we're at the St. Louis tournament, and it was a bunch of blind dudes. A couple of our friends who will admit worse players than the blind dude. And us and the goalie was a mid to high level goalie. We played some periods with the regular puck and some periods with the blind puck. And after 2 games, we're all sitting at the bar, and we're like, one of the dudes, Dirk, asked Christian. He's like, "Hey Christian, so what's the difference between when we play with the blind puck and we play with the regular puck?" And it's like, well, when we're playing with the blind puck, I have a team in front of me.
Oh.
And like, but as hockey players, we're all hockey players. We all know exactly what he means because like
Yes.
it's so. I'm one of the only ones with that much clear vision to be able to kind of pick up where it is until it goes out of my field of vision. So I can kind of figure out where it is just using my hockey sense. I know what's going on. But a lot of the others, it's tough for them to just pick it up. So it was just too funny because we all just and that's exactly what it is. So this puck really just makes a bunch of us old fart hockey players into sadly international hockey players.
Oh.
Oh really, dude? So 3 years to the day. 3 years to the day from my first practice of me literally shuffling my feet at 37 years old, and I think like 245. I am 5'9", by the way, so 245 is nothing to be like, all right, that's not bad. That's like for me going, oh man, I have to play hockey again. So 3 years to the day, I was in a van with my boys on the way to play Team Canada in blind hockey for Team USA. So
Wow.
it's been a wild road. But I mean, so blind really is just the puck, and it really is from there about including everybody.
Yeah.
The way we do it, we have a point system. So you have to be legally blind to be able to play internationally. But basically, like if you have a vision issue that causes you to like it not to be fair to play hockey at your level, it's inclusive. So they're more than welcome to join any team on either side of the border.
Nice.
But when we play internationally, you have to be legally blind to play. They also, the way they do it, they make people that are less than legally blind. So they kind of take the spectrum and they break it down so that they give value to different parts. So we have B3s, B2s, and B1s. So the B3s are those people who are just legally blind. So legal blind is 2200 in your best eye. So you can be 2200 in each eye and be legally blind. The other end, on my end, I'm a visual field, so it is less than 20 degrees of your vision in your best eye.
Wow.
So I am a lot worse than that. So I'm what's called a B2. So I want to say the acuity is 2400 or worse. And for me, it's 10. You have to have less than 5% in your best eye. Personally, I only have my right eye, and I have the bottom right about 9% of it. And as a righty, I'm an absolute liability with the puck of my stick. And like, dude, I was a puck moving defenseman in college. It was like that was the toughest part. Was like making a joke out of my offensive skills. Like I can either see the puck if I'm looking at the puck, I can't see anything. So like that's been like the toughest part is me trying to gain an offense, but I am like absolutely dirty on defense. But and that's the thing, everybody's got their own kind of issues and how they fit into this sport. And then you have the B1s. So our B1s are totally blind. We usually put them in goal.
Well, that's like a rule though, right? Like
So I mean, not really, because actually one of the most amazing people I've ever met, his name is Kevin Brown. He is totally blind and he plays defense and out, and but does the whole game based on echolocation, and his positioning and shot blocking is out of control. Like to the point where I didn't know playing with him for probably a period and a half. And he had to tell me. And then like after he tells you, you're like, all right, yeah, it makes sense a little bit now, but dude, like right on point. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's
So
amazing.
now back to the goalies, and the only other rules are based on the goalies being completely blind. So the idea is that was the best way to include the totally blind players and not just shut them out. Now, if you think about the easiest thing is the fact that they don't have to go anywhere. They don't have to worry about moving. So we're including blind players without them not moving. Our goals are a foot shorter, and our goalies play butterfly the whole time. So if you have like a decent sized thick dude, like he could take up a good piece of that net with a 5-inch wide puck.
Yeah.
But this is so, and the only other rule is you have to make a pass with this puck in the offensive zone so that the goalie can hear it kind of, going from right to left so that they're able to react and the puck's not just getting fired at their face from 20 feet away.
Absolutely.
It's understandable.
Which happens. And it is just like, dude, you don't smoke the goalie. Like, you don't, dude.
Well, you don't, but you do, right?
Like,
there's no way that
no,
doesn't happen.
It's literally one of those that, like, even if you're on the other team, you literally have to go up to the goalie and make sure he's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
that makes
I
sense.
mean, if you think about it, like, this thing is, you ever play with those training pucks?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Like the
like the heavy ones? Yeah.
Yeah. Like how like if you're not paying attention, they can kind of roll off the toe of the blade. Like just you're not even thinking, like it's just got that weight to it, and then this is just that weight and kind of awkward. So like you have to be able to, like, there's kind of a point, like kind of when you're a kid. I know you guys are coaching, some of you guys are coaching kids, right?
Yeah.
Like there's kind of that point where the kid can shoot off the ground and then really be able to shoot off the ground. Like it's kind of this thing with this blind puck. You got to be able to shoot to get the thing up. But if you can get the thing up, that's when you don't want to.
It's going up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still the same goalie gear, so it's still hitting the same spots, but it's not made to hit certain areas when it's 5 inches. So that's you would get some funky things.
You could get hit by like a spoon, or you can get hit by a fucking like a big wooden spoon. Like, and that's what the goalies explain. They're like, take a shot at me for 100 miles an hour at that thing. Like that 40 miles an hour that I don't think see. And that's the other thing. You don't know it's coming. You know it's coming. Yeah. You just don't know it's coming.
Right.
and of course, so my buddy and I, Drew, so we run a charity called the Dented Puck Foundation. And as you see, if you have the thing is, this metal puck, made of sheet metal to keep the weight down, when it hits the post, it deforms.
Yes.
So our pucks end up looking like cupcakes. It literally turns from something that's a cylinder that's wider than it is tall to something that's taller than it is wide.
How many pucks do you go through in a game?
Yeah, how many do you go through?
I mean, USA Canada games, we'll go through 3 or 4. We might start a period with them. Other end of it, they are $60 a piece.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
Ouch.
And there is one company that makes them. Think of it what you will, but they're the ones that
that's
supply.
What I was gonna say. Like, there's probably only one company that
cornered the market.
Yeah. And there are so many prototypes out there, but you need like people that bring the buzzers. Like we whale the post and the buzzer goes. If they try to make it more, if they try to pad it more, the thing becomes heavier and then it becomes more dangerous. Like,
man,
then you have the higher level guys who can get it moving, and then it gets more dangerous. So it's kind of like we're at a weirdly happy medium for what we have right now, and there are always people trying. I mean, my coach has friends at Disney that work in Disney engineering that are trying. There's a kid whose master's project is literally trying to find a new puck for us.
Wow.
So it's just one of those that, like, we're in our infancy and we're trying to grow, and it's what we got right now. And until we can find something that's safe and works for everybody with the sound, and the size, it's kind of
right.
We have our dented puck, and hey, it works for our charity.
Nice. So you've also got something else besides the dented puck. You got the Hawkeye Foundation, right?
So my buddy and I, it was more like I need to do one and make sure if I mess something up in doing the charity wrong, that I make sure I do the right one right. I'm the weird one that makes up names. My wife loves it. So I came up with the Hawkeye guy, and I was one that, like, I noticed very quickly, and we all know how insanely expensive hockey is.
Yep.
Like, the problem is like you have hockey that's that insanely top, and the statistics for legally for blind adults is just disgusting. When it's like the employment's at like 40%,
Hmm.
the median salaries in like the high to mid 30s. So it's just like and and people with state aid, it's state aid to live, not state aid to,
Play
enjoy
hockey.
yourself.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, I taught special ed for a long time. So it was kind of the perfect storm of seeing like, yeah, okay, well, we know how expensive hockey is, and we know kind of the economic issues and financial issues typical of blind people. And just the fact that like, yeah, first of all, there aren't many blind people, and putting a blind person on all right, maybe they want to try sports, but then you're putting them on skates on ice. It's a like we have a very, very tiny piece of that Venn diagram to get together,
Right.
which in order to create events means nationally.
Hmm.
So and then pre-pandemic it cost money. Now it's insane.
Right.
So the Hawkeye Guide Foundation was more built on transportation needs and to help out with transportation and lodging, working with miles and hotel points to if that is a donation tool for people if they have just some lying around, that there's a way that it can be kind of pooled together so that it can help people out.
Nice.
But really, yeah, Drew and I are trying to help our community out and however possible. We're kind of in that like hockey gave so much to me, quote unquote. And then
Right.
but it's really time to like give back to hockey. And I mean, I weirdly felt like we all weirdly fell into this. I'm 40 years old on it as an international athlete. And like I say it half laughing, like
That's
I was
awesome.
No, it's great.
I'm
dude,
jealous.
like 20 years ago, I was living in College Park. I was playing hockey, and that's all I cared about. Like, I didn't think 20 years later I'd be an international athlete or how I'd have a weird way of getting there.
Well, what was that path like? I know you mentioned, playing roller hockey in New Jersey and then ended up at College Park for school. Said you were a teacher. So, what was that path like? And then what was like the moment when, you ended up in blind hockey?
So I mean, I played roller hockey growing up because my father my mother was that mother. My father was one of the last cut from the Baltimore Colts, and I played soccer. Um, I was a massive ice hockey fan, and my mother was instrumental in creating a roller hockey rink in my town. So
Nice.
I was pushed towards the "you're not going to kill yourself" versions of sports.
Right, right.
So I actually weirdly grew up playing 5-on-5 outdoor roller hockey. So
Nice.
it was as similar to ice hockey as you could be without hitting. Um, and I was lucky enough to play roller hockey for 5 years at Maryland. Um, I graduated and went and taught in PG for a year and a half. That was a
Oh,
that was a
wow.
fun time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
In Beltsville, actually. It was the
Okay.
non-PG PG school.
Yeah.
Oh.
So really quick,
I
where
stayed-
did you
I
grow up
stayed-
playing roller?
Bergen
What
County,
rink?
New Jersey.
Oh,
Bergenfield.
okay.
Where are you from?
Well, because I live in the Maryland area, but I grew up around College Park, and you said outdoor, so I was thinking there's one
Berwyn.
in Lake Artemisia, which is like
Oh, okay.
essentially in between Greenbelt and College Park. So I was just curious right
okay.
there. Because
Yeah.
you said you grew up there. Yeah.
No.
But-
I grew up in New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, I say that lovingly because 95% of my career was in Title I districts.
Mhm.
I spent a lot of. I ironically started working towards a degree in special ed, and one day I was coaching softball and dropped my softball girls off at the late bus, and I'm walking back into the gym, and I'm rubbing my right eye, and I look at the doors to the cafeteria, and like part of the door is skew. Like, I don't know if I'm a math teacher, so like there's a line that's straight, and there's a part of the line that's next to it, and I'm like, dude, I have been teaching all day. I am not on drugs. Like, that's not normal. So I had never been to an eye doctor. I had never had issues with my eye. It was a month before my first wedding, and I say first wedding because that is a sign, and it should have been a sign. It's a danger sign, but it was not. Don't go through with this. There's so that was one the first of, I think, 15 neurological episodes in my optic nerve. So
Wow.
we never really figured out what was causing the inflammation, but every time I'd have it, I'd lose acuity and I'd lose my visual field. Within a year, I lost my left eye. But for what I saw, I still consider myself like a normal human being. I could function everyday life. I was still teaching. I taught until it really started at about 2015. It really started getting bad. I would I'd miss kids' handshakes and like trip over chairs, and like it's a good thing I was the guy that the kids liked, or like I'd be the idiot that tripped over chairs. Like like they're just like, and they knew there was something wrong with my eyes. Um, and in the school district that I was teaching at the end is actually the town I live in now, and I taught the same kids for last 4 years. And their 8th grade year was my last year, and it wasn't really planned, but it was kind of getting there to the point where they're special ed kids, so I'm reading the test for them. And one of them just raised their hand, and they're like, do you mind if we read this test aloud to each other? And I'm like, oh shit, what do I do? And I'm like, all right, guys, yes, under one condition. What grade level do you think I read at? And they're like, 3rd? And I'm like, oh God, yeah, go ahead. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So later that year, I made the decision to retire. Which, I mean, it stinks, but it was in a slew of a couple more school shootings, and like the fact that I can't keep kids safe in that situation was really the ultimate decision. So that was wow. That was April 2018. So fast forward to September 2019, and I'm doing dishes in my kitchen with the local news on, which means I just turned on cable and somehow that news was on, and I have no idea how. and I hear a bunch of disabled people are finding joy at a sport they never thought they could play. And I'm like, that like my ears perk. I start listening, and I hear at New York Metro blind hockey, and I'm like, what the like serendipity? Like plate in my hand should be dropping on the floor. Like I'm like no glasses on, bolting through my house to to get close enough to my 72-inch TV, and I'm like, dude, that's ice hockey. What did he just say? And so I immediately am like, now I'm searching, and I sent a couple of emails. The next day I'm talking to Monique, who is one of the people that runs the local team. And I'm calling the coach, and I want to help out because in my head, like, there's a bunch of blind kids that can't find a puck. Like, I want to help them find a puck.
Right.
And she's like, and I'm like, yeah, I played hockey that was what I did my entire life until I like aged out of it. Like, I was a teacher, like I coached everything. Like, I'm perfect for this. And she's like, Josh, I don't think you understand. You don't have to coach. You can play. And like, I am not embarrassed at 37 years old, and my voice went like through the roof. I'm like, I can play. 100% crack. And I was like, nope, doesn't matter. Childlike moment. So that was like mid-September of 2019, and October 21st to 20th of 2021 of 2019 was my first time back on the ice. Like, I get back on the ice, so I'm like shuffling my feet around, and I hear like some sort of cowbell in the distance, and I'm like, what is that? And they're like, that's our puck. And I'm like, oh no, it's not. And my wife's actually got a video of like after I start getting my legs together, I'm like, so I'm on one side, and I'm like practicing like getting down up the so I'm skating around, getting warmed up, and I eat it, and the coach, like what would happen like if some brand new person eats it right in the beginning of practice, like coach bolts over there, hits the brake. Are you okay? Are you okay? And
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, dude, I'm fine. You don't know me. I'll be down here all day. And I mean, dude, and like and the joke is that that's what everybody makes fun of me for. And like, I don't care. I'm down there all the time, blocking shots, falling over. No, it makes no difference. But nobody knows that was literally the first thing I said to a coach on the when I got back on the ice.
That's awesome.
So we're working on getting down and getting back up off the ice, and then I hear the coach go, yeah, now we're gonna go down on both knees, and I hear out of the corner of my ear, that's what she said, and I'm just like, I'm home,
Yeah.
and it was just kind of one of those, oh my god, I'm back in a hockey rink, this is great, and they're just like, Johnny.
That's awesome.
So the coach comes from the other end, and I'm looking at the other end, and these kids flying all over the place. And I'm like, but yeah, those are the coach's kids. Like, they got to be the coach's kids. They're getting the free ice time. They're enjoying it. So coach comes over. He's like, hey, do you want to come over and play with us? I'm like, oh yeah, like with the coach's kids. And he's like, no, they're blind too. And I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not. and literally, and that's every one of our first reactions. Like, I'm blind and I played for a long time, and I look at them and I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not. And it's incredible just seeing just all the talent out of people who shouldn't be able to play that way. Like with the vision they have, it's incredible.
Yeah. I saw some clips. I don't know if it was on your Instagram or the Dented Puck Instagram, but there were clips of the Windy City Showdown. I think you guys were promoting like the next year's or something. And I was watching the videos like, this looks like I'm watching a live barn of like a high-end youth game right now, like when I'm watching my kids play or something. Like it was fast, and people like were in the right places, and the puck was moving, and like it was really cool to watch. And if I didn't know any better, if I wasn't on Instagram accounts that were devoted to blind hockey, like I would think it was sighted hockey.
Yeah, and that's really what it is like there's both ends to it. You do have whatever the things, like there's definitely the level of the guys skating around trying to find the puck. And then you have the elite level, like the best guy on Canada averaged over a point a game in Canada Junior B.
Oh man.
Wow.
Absolutely. And you know what? He is just so smooth, and then it's just and that's what we got that's our answer. Like, we try.
Yeah.
But like that's he's and they have a couple guys that were high level juniors players, because it's Canadian hockey, and they grew up on skates, and down here we grow up very many ways, and then we try to push people on skates. And I tell every single kid that was blind and learned to play hockey, dude, like, power to you, because I would never have done that. Like, that is more bonus than I have.
So I also want to, going back to Instagram too. So the way that we all kind of got introduced is you DM'd our Instagram account, and you said, think I've been following you for a while. The second I saw Frederick, I burst out laughing. Why is that so funny?
Well, I mean, really, because we used to drive over an hour out to Frederick for practice every day. And I mean, it is like the most unlikeliest of hockey areas. But it is like a large hockey area, and it's so funny that I was like, oh my god, I have such a weird hockey relationship with Frederick, Maryland. And let me tell you,
man.
Frederick, Maryland, late night at fast food places is an interesting place.
Oh,
There you go, buddy.
This is a perfect
is
segue.
a great segue. John?
Go for it, John.
All right. So we have a question because we are always curious about this. Late night, let's say you had a few pops, whatever. You walk into like a Sheetz or a Wawa or a Royal Farms if you really are into that. We don't like Royal Farms, but whatever. So if you were going to walk into a place like that, what is your MTO order?
The shit like sandwich to go.
Exactly. Yeah.
The chicken, bacon, American, lettuce, mayo.
Okay.
Wawa chicken sandwich. Yeah.
There you
Wawa.
go. Wawa
Okay.
chicken sandwich.
Yeah,
okay.
Are you getting like chips or anything too? Like Funyuns?
I'll
You
go
like Funyuns?
I'll go with the fun because we're going with Funyuns. I go with Funyuns.
I like Funyuns. I like Funyuns. There's nothing wrong with Funyuns.
Nothing wrong with Funyuns. Yeah.
There are people that disparage on Funyuns. Not right. Not right. So
Well,
It's funny that went that way.
yeah, so we'll detour a little bit. So I'm curious after roller hockey, what did you see at the fast food places around here? I'm curious. I'm curious now.
There was our favorite was what we originally thought was a grandfather and his granddaughter that probably wasn't.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Okay.
And as we would go there more and more times, we're like, they're friendlier and friendlier, and they were like, yeah,
Oh, no.
I'm like, that's we're in Frederick.
Hey, it's not West Virginia.
Yeah.
Not West-
whoa,
it's not-
whoa.
Oh no,
It's not
it's not.
Hagerstown.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That was
You
another
live
one.
in
That was
Jersey,
another one.
sir. Like, come on. Come on.
Hey, we got our own problems. It's not like that. We got our own problems.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that was nothing. My buddy Dirk, he's like, yeah, Frederick. He goes, but Hagerstown. I go, oh yeah, Hagerstown.
Yeah.
Whole other level.
Yeah.
And I think
old
I was like,
patch.
yeah, I know people from Hagerstown.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
That's great.
This is probably going to mean nothing to me, but I've heard that this is how folks from Jersey determine where they're from. What exit of the turnpike do you live nearest?
It's actually Parkway because there are 16 exits to the turnpike, but there are 170 something of the Parkway.
Okay.
Oh.
And it's 161.
161.
Yeah.
161.
No. Well, the problem is the turnpike is like the South Jersey. You kind of come up, and the Parkway kind of goes down the shore. So and that's usually it. Is what exit of the Parkway. But if people actually say that to you, then there's seriously something wrong with them. Like if they don't say it as a joke, don't answer it.
Okay.
Hey, you want to go get fast food? My granddaughter and I.
Oh,
Oh,
Jeez.
New perspective. I'll be completely honest. I knew that blind hockey was a thing, but I'd never really looked into it at all. I'd never seen any of the details about it before you were going to come on, and maybe this is not the best pun to make. My eyes are opened. This is cool.
Good.
This is
Yeah,
really cool.
It's wild, man.
The
And,
videos I saw, you guys are good. You guys
Yeah,
are
and-
fast.
Go look at the Canadians Canadian blind hockey YouTube has this weekend. Just watch us.
Yeah,
Watch how well the Canadians move the puck. It's unreal.
I
Like-
will. I'll watch it.
It's unbelievable. And I mean, like, we have a couple coming down the pipeline too. We got a 14-year-old down in Texas. The kid's gonna be unbelievable.
Nice.
And he's just coming into it. He's the kid that I'm now teaching how to play like a man, and I'm just like, boom.
yeah.
Deal with Canada.
That's cool.
Then of course he's also the one that like puck squirts out, and I pulled one of those. I'm 40, and I take 2 steps forward, and then go, oh crap, and I threw my hip out to pivot. And threw my hip out to the blind side, and I threw a massive hip into this kid. So So this was like my game of teaching him to be a man. And literally 5 minutes before, I was like, Easton, I'll be here all day. And like not even doing anything anywhere near penalties, like little chippy hands on like smack the stick, push him around. And of course, like not 5 minutes later, do I lay a massive hip into him. And I dive right on top of him. I'm like, dude, that's not what I meant. I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to try to hurt you. And the ref comes to get me, and he's like, 2 minutes. I'm like, of course it was. And I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I was apologizing.
That's funny.
And I'm not the large one. There's some large men that move very fast and cannot see where they're going, and it is a recipe for disaster.
Oh man.
Man.
Now I have a question going back to like the foundation and everything you guys are running. So I know like the NHL does quite a bit of work with like sled hockey, and they sponsor like teams in every market pretty much. A good chunk of the NHL teams do, at least in the States. Does the NHL or USA Hockey kind of help you guys, supplement some of the travel and whatnot?
I mean, no, we are pretty much very much pay to play.
You guys are bootstrapping it yourself, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's not been really a precedent set. We are under the USA Hockey umbrella, but in order to the difference is we don't fall under the USOC umbrella until we become a Paralympic sport. So it's kind of one of those, it's like the chicken and the egg. Like we need them to grow, and they're like, no, we need you to be a Paralympic sport for all this flush money to come in.
Right.
So it's kind of one of those. And the way Paralympics work, we need 8 countries and a world championship. And COVID really killed us in the growth outside our continent. Because we right now have, the usual suspects and a couple more: Sweden, Finland, Russia.
No, we don't. No, no.
I mean, no. That's kind of why I gave the.
I know.
I mean, you can't hold their little blind kids against Putin. So at some point,
you said it. I didn't. But so essentially, your usual suspects, and is it on both sides? Is it men's and women's? That it has to be 8 countries both?
It's co-ed.
Okay.
Co-ed, so it won't. But I mean, filling out hockey teams is not easy.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah.
And filling out blind hockey teams is harder. But the rules to play for a country in Paralympics are very lax because it's all about inclusion. So it's going to end up being like a lot of the U.S. players and like kind of if you know what happened. It was South Korea, right? South Korea had all the Canadians on their team. Kind of like that's kind of what's going to have to happen to the first couple of years to get it going. There's a team in England also. There's one kind of starting in Germany. So you have more than just like the usual suspects. We're kind of getting towards that number. But the usual suspects are the ones that can actually find people that have been playing. And the other ones kind of, have to kind of facilitate and figure it out themselves. So.
And that's part of the goal too, that the foundation, and you're basically trying to get to the point of being a Paralympic sport, right?
Yeah, it really is. Well, I mean, it's awareness and fundraising and all that. It'll all come with it. And I mean, finding blind people that played hockey is literally the needle in the haystack. Like it happens, and it happened with me, and it happens with a bunch of my buddies. Like it just keeps happening over and over. But it really is just getting it out to the hockey communities. And a lot of the NHL teams are taking their own routes with different teams in their areas. By us, I know the Caps have had involvement with the blind hockey team in the DC area. But it's not set up as a Capitals blind hockey team, and this is what like sled hockey is. That every single team kind of has a sled division under the Youth
Right.
Foundation, and it is kind of soup to nuts the way it goes. So
Yeah.
that's the way we're kind of trying to work in. My local team in the New York area, we work kind of with we were the charity of the game for the Islanders for opening day. So
Nice.
Oh,
we got,
nice.
we got a table. So we were able to grow awareness. We got half the 50-50 takes. We got money out of it. So, and you guys know, being from the East Coast, I took that and I went to the Devils, then I'm going to the Rangers, then I'm going to the Flyers.
Yeah, the nice thing where you're at, you could hit a ton of teams. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the Flyers have been awesome so the Flyers started a learn to skate program, because that's kind of like how these start. You either have a learn to skate program or you start your team based on 2 or 3 hockey players that want to start a team. So the
Right.
Flyers have a learn to skate program, but their youth foundation has been amazing for the Flyers. And they're trying to base theirs off what the Ducks are doing for one of my teammates, Blake. But, that's hockey in the desert. And we know what happens with hockey in the desert.
Yep.
yeah, they play in college arenas. You're right.
I left that. I set that one up nice and high.
Yeah, you set those up great for us to talk about.
Yeah.
But really, like, my main thing is, and I've heard a bunch of, like, I've heard the phrase non-starter twice already, because all the cute little kids they put on the ice between periods, right? Like, and they
Right.
do it to sell the upper deck tickets and get fans there. And that's kind of what I'm pushing for, because I want to show, like you guys are like, wow, this doesn't look like blind guys. Like, dude, these guys can play. And our goal is really to get between periods in an NHL game, because we want to show those fans that we can play, and that when they look at it and they pull out their phones and they take a video of it and they share it, that's the idea.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
More awareness. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've been told twice that it is adults on the ice between periods is a non-starter. And I was like, I almost wanted to be like, dude, we're disabled. I'll play that card if I have to.
Knowing what I know now, I would be excited to hear that there was blind hockey in between periods at a game. That
Absolutely.
this is cool, and it would be like you said, it would be amazing for awareness to grow that avenue of the sport. Absolutely, that'd be fantastic. It seems very short-sighted on the part of the NHL teams. I can't get away from. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of anything else.
I mean, at least you were like nearsighted, and like they're worse. But really, like, I get the concept of not having adults on the ice, because, like, it's not something you do. But I'm like, dude, you don't want me to throw a bunch of blind kids on the ice that people aren't gonna be entertained. But if I throw, that's what I tell people. I'm like, you give me 10. So, because of what the Islanders did, then we went to the Devils. So when in December, the Devils are giving us an hour of ice after the game, and are supposedly promoting it during the game. So that's kind of the idea. So then we'll hopefully have some fans from the game, and maybe some suits, and the Devils locker room is somewhere back there. So, and that's the idea. It's really it's showing it to hockey fans, and that's how you spread the word.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said, events like that, even if it's not as well attended as the NHL game before it or whatever, folks are going to be taking video and they're going to be posting it. And that's really,
it's something at least. Yeah.
That's how you're going to get the eyes on, right? And that's how you're going to get the exposure, and that'll be a great thing. So it's good that, NHL clubs are starting to take notice. But I get the rule that they have, like, no adults in between periods, because they don't want idiots like the 4 of us out there. Because we would absolutely take them up on the opportunity, and we would absolutely go to the bar before we've skated in between periods.
100%.
So they don't need us out there.
What's in this water bottle?
Well, Josh, thanks for coming on, man. This has been great. It's been awesome talking to you. Definitely shedding some light on an aspect of the sport that a lot of people probably don't know as much about. So this has been really good. Thank you so much for coming on.
No problem, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. It's nice to talk to Maryland hockey guys again.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, dude.
It's been awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem, guys. Have a good one. Thank you.
Yeah,
You
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 too.
too.
All right, that'll wrap up episode 116. Thanks again to Josh Schneider for coming on and talking to us about blind hockey. That was really cool. I learned an awful lot about a part of the sport that I don't really hear about that much. Maybe that'll change. Josh's foundation is the Hawkeye Guy Foundation, and they're all about promoting inclusivity into blind hockey and trying to help people get in and continue to play. So check it out. Their website is thehawkeyeguy.com. And Hawkeye is spelled Hockeye. That's thehawkeyeguy.com. Check it out. Also, give a listen to his podcast, The Dented Puck. I'm sure you can find it anywhere that you found Beers in the Lot. So give him a listen, give him a like, review, subscribe. You know, the same thing you do for our podcast. On that note, thank you for your support of Beers in the Lot. We appreciate your listen. And if you enjoyed your listen, be sure to tell your friends, your teammates, your beer league, anybody at Stick and Puck, whoever you can. Tell them about our show. That'll help us grow. And as always, be sure to check out beersinthelot.com for info on how to join the Discord and jump into our little community, how to become a Patreon and support us, and everything else Beers in the Lot related. Check it out at beersinthelot.com. So that'll do it for episode 116. Thank you again for your listen. We'll catch you next week. See ya.